It was just one night. Just a few drinks. But that one night made him look at me like I was a stranger. I didn't cheat. I didn't scream or hit or break anything. I just broke a promise. And apparently, that was worse. Ethan and I had been together for 3 years. We shared a lease, a Spotify account, and until that night, a bed. He was the calm to my chaos, the kind of guy who plans things, saves receipts, listens closely. The kind of guy who actually meant it when he said, "Don't lie to me." I told him I wouldn't drink. That night, I promised. We'd had that conversation before, more than once, actually. And it always ended with me swearing I'd take it seriously next time. So when I left for my friend Sarah's birthday dinner, I looked him straight in the eyes and said, "Don't worry. I'm just having dinner. I won't drink. I swear." He kissed my forehead, smiled, and said, "Thank you. That means a lot." I meant it. At least, I thought I did. But dinner turned into shots. One turned into two. And suddenly I was dancing in heels I couldn't walk in, holding a stranger's drink because I'd lost mine, texting Ethan that I was on my way, even though I hadn't called the Uber yet. I got home at 5:07 a.m. The hallway was silent. I was giggling as I took off my heels and tried not to trip over the coffee table. I thought I'd sneak into bed like nothing happened. But there he was, standing in the doorway of our bedroom, fully awake, wearing the same hoodie he had on when I left. Eyes not angry, but hollow, empty. And he said it. Not a scream. Not even a whisper. Just a calm, steady sentence that hit harder than any fight we'd ever had. "You can sleep on the couch." Then he turned around, shut the bedroom door, and locked it. That moment, more than any argument, any breakup I've ever had, that moment made my chest cave in. Because for the first time in our entire relationship, he wasn't disappointed. He was done. And I hadn't even realized I crossed the line, until I was already on the other side of it. Ethan and I weren't a perfect couple, but in the beginning, it felt like we might be. He was the kind of guy who read books before bed, remembered how I liked my coffee, and always listened. Not the passive, nodding kind of listening, but real listening. Like when I once told him I hated my birthday because it reminded me of my parents' divorce, and he planned a quiet weekend getaway instead of a surprise party. That kind of listening. And me? I was loud. Social. The one more drink friend. I could talk to anyone. I lived off chaos, spontaneity, last-minute brunches, and rooftop parties that somehow turned into sunrise walks. Ethan grounded me. And I, in return, made him laugh harder than he ever had. We were opposites, but we worked. Except when I drank. At first, it was fun. I was bubbly, flirtatious, the life of the party. But sometimes, I crossed the line. Like the time at his sister's wedding, when I drank too much champagne and tried to sing along with the band, on stage. Or the time I got into a shouting match with a bouncer at his company's holiday party. Ethan never raised his voice. He'd just say things like, "I don't like the way you are when you drink. It feels like you disappear into someone else." And I'd promise to do better. But promises are easy to make when you're sober. I still remember the last serious talk we had about it. I'd come home tipsy from a friend's birthday, and he didn't even scold me. Just sat on the couch, quietly folding laundry, and said, "Haley, I need you to hear this. It's not the alcohol. It's the lying. The pretending like you forgot. It's not a big deal. Just be honest. Don't lie and don't cross this boundary again." And I nodded like I understood. I even teared up a little. I told him, of course, I won't. I don't even like drinking that much. But maybe. I said that just to end the conversation. So when Sarah invited me to her birthday dinner last weekend, and Ethan asked gently, "You're not drinking, right?" I smiled and said, "Nope. Just food and catching up." I meant it. I really did. But then the wine came. Then shots. Then someone handed me a vodka soda I didn't ask for, and I didn't say no. It was easier to join in than be the boring one. Easier to laugh with strangers than sit in silence with my guilt. And before I knew it, I was drunk. Again. And this time, I wasn't sure there'd be a next time to fix it. It was 4:58 a.m. when I unlocked the door. I took my heels off outside the apartment so they wouldn't click against the wood floors. My bag slipped off my shoulder as I tried to sneak in like some cartoon burglar. I was drunk, sure, but not wasted. Still aware enough to know I'd messed up. Still foolish enough to believe I could act normal. I thought maybe he was asleep. But the hallway light was on. And there he was. Ethan sat on the edge of the couch, hoodie on, phone face down beside him, hands clasped together like he'd been praying or meditating or maybe just trying not to punch a wall. He didn't look up at first. Didn't even blink. Just stared at the blank TV screen like it was playing a movie only he could see. My heart dropped. But I still tried to brush it off, play casual. "Hey. I'm home," I said, forcing a laugh. Dinner turned into karaoke. Still silence. Then, slowly, he turned to me. His eyes weren't red. No tears. Just this hollow, heavy emptiness I'd never seen before. And then he said it, flat, emotionless. "You knew how I felt. And you did it anyway." My smile faded. "Ethan, come on. It wasn't even a big deal. We were just having fun. I didn't get arrested or anything. I'm fine." Even as I said it, I heard myself. I hated how defensive I sounded. How teenage it all felt. He didn't raise his voice. He just looked at me for a long moment. Like he was trying to decide who I really was. And then, "This isn't about the drinking. It's about the fact that I can't trust you to keep your word." That hit me harder than if he'd screamed. Because he wasn't angry, he was done. Done trying to convince me that my word should mean something. I started to reach out to him, but he stood up. Walked past me without a word. Into the bedroom. Closed the door. Locked it. And I was left standing there, heels in one hand, keys in the other, and this awful, sinking feeling in my chest. I curled up on the couch, fully clothed, makeup still on, heart pounding too loud to sleep. Staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment of that night, searching for a way to justify it. I wanted to be mad at him. Tell myself he was overreacting. That everyone drinks. But I couldn't. Because deep down, I knew. It wasn't about the alcohol. It was about the lie. And the fact that I broke something he may never offer again, his trust. The silence was worse than yelling. No slammed doors, no heated arguments. Just cold politeness. Ethan still made coffee in the morning, but he only poured one mug. He still did the laundry, but left my clothes in the basket. He still said good night, but not I love you. He slept in the bed. Alone. I stayed on the couch, the cushion permanently molded to my shape by the third day. I tried everything. Made his favorite breakfast, blueberry pancakes with lemon zest. He ate them without a word. Put on the sweater he once said made me look impossibly soft. Apologized again, this time with tears in my eyes. But nothing cracked him open. It was like I was living with a roommate who had once loved me, and now couldn't even look at me the same way. The distance wasn't just physical, it was soul deep. I started spiraling inside my own head. Was I really that bad? Did one night really outweigh 3 years of love? But then, one morning, I saw a calendar alert on his laptop. Thursday 2 p.m., couples therapy. My heart jumped. Maybe this was it, his way of saving us. A step forward. A chance. But when I asked him, his face didn't light up. He didn't even flinch. "Oh," he said, closing the laptop. "That was just for me. Not us." Confused, I asked, "Why would you go to couples therapy alone?" He didn't look at me when he answered. "Because I needed to talk to someone about how to let go of something I thought I'd spend the rest of my life in." That was when I realized I wasn't fighting for our relationship. I was fighting to get back to a version of myself he no longer trusted. Flashback, like a punch to the chest, of the time he held me through a panic attack, whispering, "I've got you. I'm right here." Back then, he made me feel safe. Now, I was the reason he didn't feel safe anymore. It wasn't about control. It never was. It was about emotional safety. About the kind of peace that comes from knowing the person beside you keeps their word, especially when it matters most. And I'd shattered that peace like it meant nothing. I wasn't proud of it, but I went to his therapist's office. I waited in the parking lot across the street for 20 minutes before working up the nerve to go inside. I wasn't planning to sit in on the session, just to see him. Maybe catch his eyes, maybe remind him I was still here. Still trying. But when I gave the receptionist his name, her eyes scanned the screen and then softened. "Oh, I'm sorry. Ethan canceled all future appointments. About 3 weeks ago." 3 weeks ago. That was before the night I came home drunk. Before everything fell apart. My heart sank into my stomach. The therapy wasn't even about the night I broke my promise. He'd already been pulling away before I ever noticed. I drove home in a daze. The car was silent, but my head screamed the entire way back. When I walked in the door, Ethan was at the kitchen sink rinsing a glass. I stood there like a ghost, key still in hand, and said quietly, "I went to your therapist's office." He didn't react, just dried his hands slowly with a towel and looked over at me. "I know," he said. "I saw your location." Of course he did. We still had location sharing turned on. It felt ironic. He still knew where I was, even though emotionally, we hadn't shared space in weeks. I didn't yell. I didn't beg. I just asked, "Why did you stop going?" He leaned back against the counter, arms crossed, not defensive, just tired. "Because the therapy wasn't for us," he said calmly. "It was for me. To figure out how to leave without hating you." I felt the floor tilt under me. Tears welled in my eyes, but he didn't flinch. Not in a cruel way, just a man who had already cried all the tears he could for me. "I still love you," he admitted. "But I used to trust you with everything. And now, I second-guess who you are." That line shattered me. Because I realized, he didn't stop loving me. He just stopped feeling safe with me. I asked him, voice cracking, "Can we please try again? Please?" He didn't yell, didn't throw my mistakes in my face. He just looked at me with this heartbreaking calm and said, "I hope you become someone who keeps promises, not for me, but for yourself." He packed a small bag that night. Left the next morning. No slamming door. No dramatic goodbye. Just silence. And space. The kind of space you can't fill with apologies or pancakes or soft sweaters. The kind that only time and change can even begin to touch. It's been 90 days since that night. Since I stumbled into our apartment drunk, thinking I could joke my way out of betrayal. Since he told me, calmly and clearly, that trust was no longer something he could offer me. I've been sober since then. No drinks. Not a sip. But more than that, I've been in therapy. Not to win him back. Not to figure out how to reverse time or make him see me differently. But to figure out who I am without him, and who I want to become. And it's not easy. Some mornings I still wake up and reach for my phone, half expecting a text from him. Other days, I scroll through old photos of us and pause on the ones where I'm laughing, wrapped in his arms, completely unaware of how fragile everything really was. He wasn't perfect. But he was patient. Honest. Safe. And I destroyed that, not because I didn't love him, but because I didn't trust anyone. Not even myself. I used to think love could fix everything. That if someone really loved you, they'd always find their way back. But love isn't enough without accountability. Without consistency. Without the courage to keep the promises you make, especially when no one's watching. Saying sorry is easy. Changing is hard. But I'm changing. Slowly. Quietly. For me. I even wrote him a letter. It sits in my drawer, folded, unread, unsent. In it, I told him everything I was too stubborn or scared to say back then. I told him I'm sorry for not listening. For making him feel alone in a relationship that was supposed to be a safe place. For turning a simple promise into a breaking point. I ended it by saying, "You don't owe me another chance. But I owe myself a better version of me." A few weeks ago, a friend sent me a picture of him. He was smiling, standing on a hiking trail with some people I didn't recognize. He looked lighter. Not just physically, but emotionally. That hurt. But it also gave me peace. Because maybe this isn't a story about getting him back. Maybe it's about learning why I lost him in the first place. And maybe you've been there too. Maybe you've lost someone, not because you stopped loving them, but because you loved yourself too little to treat them right.